You're listening to the Team Stripes podcast.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Team Stripes podcast. I'm Ross Grimaldi, and with me is my co-host, as usual, Brenden S. What's up, dude?
I'm living the dream, waiting for the first round to start tomorrow, or I guess today, since we're releasing this on Tuesday. How are you so far?
Doing all right. You know, we had some crazy games over the weekend, lots of wild eliminations. Teams went home that we didn't think were going to. Lots of great officiating. The NHL, or I should say the people that work in the buildings kind of trolling us. I don't know if you saw the thank you fans where they showed actual fans in seats.
Yeah, there's been one guy, I don't know who he is or what he does. I think he's like an assistant for some broadcasting team, and he's been making TikToks with the jokes about like the no waves and things like that. So he's it's been fun to watch. It's glad they're having fun.
So yeah, we had a full weekend of hockey. Everybody is ready to go for the official first round of the playoffs. As far as we know, none of the referees and linesmen are getting cut. So the 20 guys in each city, 20 guys in each city remain. Obviously, that is subject to change. That might change the end of the day or into tomorrow. But lots of things to look forward to. We had a great chat with our guest, Logan Gruhl, who is our interview for this episode. He's a ODP grad like myself, and he is a current ECHL referee. So we have another referee on this week, so that's a good thing.
It'll be fun. So wrapping up the qualifying round, what was your biggest surprise coming out of it? Like, what team surprised you the most?
A couple of the surprises for me. One of them, the Blue Jackets and Leafs series was wild. You had the Leafs blow a 3-0 lead. Then you had the Jackets blow a 3-0 lead. And then in Game 5, the Jackets won 3-0. I have my dog wanting some attention here. So that series was pretty wild. The Lightning looked pretty good in 2 games. And then the third game against the Flyers, they did not look interested in playing at all. We got to talk about Montreal and Chicago knocking out Pittsburgh and Edmonton respectively. So neither of the host teams are still in the tournament. It's just absolutely wild. It sets up a crazy first round. I'm happy we didn't have to fill out a bracket before the play-in round because I definitely would not have gotten a lot of them right.
Yeah, I mean, Montreal and Chicago definitely surprised everybody. I think Chicago, they obviously came in as a 12
I think
seed.
Chicago was the biggest surprise.
See, to me, they weren't, because Chicago is built for playoffs. I mean, you have Jonathan Taves, Patty Kane, Shar. You have all those guys.
Yeah, you got the names, but
you have the old guys.
Yeah,
they have the experience. Where the Oilers, I mean, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and crew. I mean, they don't have goaltending. Crawford played out of his mind.
Yeah, that was the problem with the Oilers, is they don't have that, next level goaltender.
Yeah, but Montreal surprised me beating the Pens.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Carey Price stood on his head for at least a game or two.
Yeah,
and then it was Game 4, whatever. They eliminated in 4, and I mean, going into the third period, it was still tied at 0-0, and it was a fun series to watch.
Another surprise for me was Arizona beating Nashville.
Yes.
I did not expect that. I think pretty much everything else was kind of par for the course, as far, like, obviously in the East, Carolina winning, the Islanders winning. Now Blue Jackets, Toronto, like you said, that got a little wild.
That was a toss-up, though.
Calgary, kind of figured they were going to win their series.
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver, same thing. But it was good. It was fun to watch. The play-in rounds were fun to watch. But yeah, I'm just ready for the playoffs to officially start and get into our best of 7 series.
Yeah, and speaking of the teams that lost that were kind of surprised, the Penguins, the Oilers, the
Well,
Panthers, all of the teams that lost now have the 12% chance of getting the first overall pick.
yes, we got to talk about that. So, Mr. I think it's Alexis Lafreniere, I
Yes.
think, or yep. So the kid's pretty good hockey player, and one of these really good teams has a chance of getting this kid. Like, can you imagine how upset everyone's going to be if it's like Pittsburgh that gets him?
Where would
Or,
you want to see him go?
um, well, definitely not to the Panthers. I don't know, maybe like Minnesota or Winnipeg, I
Yikes, just
think,
bury the kid, eh?
or maybe I don't know. I wouldn't even mind seeing him go to the Rangers. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think he would be cool on the Rangers. Personally, I want to see him down in Florida.
Yeah,
I,
well,
I I don't care about any of the Florida teams,
well,
so having a first overall in the Panthers, I think, would be kind of cool.
the other thing too is who knows what's going to happen with like maybe Ottawa or one of
Mhm.
the other teams trying to trade and get that pick. So you
That
just
is
never
very
know.
true.
And then so with that, now we gotta let's do a quick rundown of the West. What do you think's gonna happen in the West? We got round one, Vegas and Chicago.
Yes. So on the West, yeah, Vegas. I think Chicago's going to put up a fight, but I mean, it's
All right, so we're
Vegas,
taking Vegas.
100%. I think. I
Okay.
mean, like, I'm not saying it's a sweep, but we're looking at, I would say, 5 or 6
Yeah.
games.
So then Colorado, Arizona. I think
I mean,
Colorado's the no-brainer, but I'd love to see Arizona pull that off.
we can give Arizona a game or two there. I mean, yeah. If you can stop McKinnon and Landeskog, you have a chance.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, my
Okay.
dog loves to lock himself in my walk-in closet. He'll go missing for hours at a time. Like, where's my dog? And then I go look, and then I open the closet door, and he acts like he hasn't seen me in 2 months. So, all right. So then
Back to hockey.
Calgary and Dallas. Obviously, I know who you're picking here.
Yeah, the Flames fan in me says Calgary in 4. The hockey in me says Calgary in 6.
Okay.
I
And
think
then we got-
Calgary's just – I mean, they played better than the Stars all year. When they played the Stars, they played well. It will be a fun matchup. If the Stars can figure out how to play hockey again, which they didn't do all round robin, there could be some trouble for Calgary. But if the Stars played like they did in the round robin, I mean – it's not going to be hard to beat them, I don't think. Plus, little fun fact, the last time the Flames were a 6th seed was the beautiful 04 Cup run where the Flames, maybe or maybe not.
No, sir. No. They were the 8th seed in 2004.
Nope, 6th seed. 6th seed. Promise. Pinky promise.
All right. Well,
Are we going to look it up? Should we look it
I'm
up?
gonna look this up real quick.
I am certain they were the 6th seed because little 7-year-old me was living and dying by this team. And we had our hearts ripped out in Game 4 or Game 6 by your one and only Tampa Bay Lightning.
No, it was Game 7 because I was there.
Well, yeah, but Game 6 we won. Let's be real. That puck was in.
It was not.
I'm so salty about that all these years later.
Clearly you were. Where
I had them as 6th seed back then. But I was 7, so who knows?
Yep. Well, I'll get that figured out.
Oh, I thought I was going to be right. I was really excited.
No. Western Conference playoff seeds. Oh, I guess you were right. I could have sworn they were the 8th seed. That's wild.
Flames are going to the Cup final this year. Put it on paper.
Well, geez. Why have I always thought they were the 8th seed? Anyway, that's completely irrelevant to our conversation. So, yeah, and then we got to go to St. Louis and Vancouver. I think St. Louis is the no-brainer on that series.
See, I think that one's closer than people think. I think St. Louis, if they play well, they can beat them, no issues. But they didn't play well all round robin. Vancouver played surprisingly well in the first round or qualifying round. I mean, you could go for the Canucks here. A little bit of an underdog,
I think
maybe.
that could end up being a toss-up in a 7-game series.
I agree 100%. I think that's the one that out of all four of them, that's probably going to be the closest. Canucks played well during the regular season. Now, granted, that was 7,000 months ago, but
yeah,
if the Blues turn it on, which I mean they're the Blues, they can. The Blues would win, but I think the Canucks will put up a heck of a good fight.
Well, it's definitely going to be an exciting first round out west.
It'll be fun.
Is for sure.
We start Tuesday. Well, I guess
we do.
today. The day we drop this podcast.
Tonight being Tuesday, since we're dropping this on Tuesday. So then we'll get into our conversation with Logan. Like I said a little bit earlier on, he's an ODP graduate. He worked the North American League, the USHL, the SP, and now he is working the ECHL as a referee. And we'll go ahead and shoot over to that interview. We are joined by Mr. Logan Gruhl. How are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing all right. Brenden, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing just dandy.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll just hit the ground running on this podcast. So Logan, first off, we'll start with how old were you when you started refereeing, and why did you start refereeing?
I was 14 years old. My dad and brother were referees at the time. So I got into it that way and just thought it'd be a good part-time job. And I stopped playing when I was like 17. So I did playing and reffing for 3 years and then realized that I want to try to make a career out of reffing. And that's how I got started.
That sounds extremely similar to how I started. Same thing. So that's actually pretty cool that we kind of started the same way.
Yeah, it sucks. I never got to skate a game with my brother and my dad. That would have been fun, but it didn't work out.
Oh, so are they no longer refereeing then?
My brother's not. My dad is. I still skate with my dad on occasion, but my brother got out of it the year that I got into it, so we never got to work together. But
well, you need to get him to register just so you can work one game.
I know he took a puck to the face and was done after that.
Oh, that's lame. I've taken pucks to the face and I'm still doing this.
I know. He's soft.
Very clearly. So, okay. And then obviously you said you're from Virginia.
Yep.
So what was it like growing up officiating there? Like starting out, like what did you do? What levels and leagues and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, especially in Richmond, it's pretty small. I mean, when I started out, there was no junior teams in town. It was just, tier 2 minor league hockey or minor league kids hockey, minor hockey. And so I did all of those levels. And then I started doing ACHA D3 club like my second year because we needed guys. So I was kind of thrown right into that. But I would also go up to like Northern Virginia and DC and Maryland when I was slowly progressing to go work tournaments up there and sort of get a little bit of exposure and work better hockey and see different teams. But obviously Virginia is not a hockey hotbed. So it was definitely a grind trying to get out there. So.
Yeah, for sure. I know a few people from that area. A guy I lived with for a year, Billy Lyons, is from there. Worked a couple of times in Virginia. I worked at Chilled Ponds, right? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, in Chesapeake.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a small community up there in Virginia.
It is.
So then how long did you work until you decided, okay, this is, something I want to do? And then from there, obviously you joined the ODP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess in 2010 is when I started officiating, 2009, 2010 season. And then 2016, so after 6 years, I went to that was after working, various like USA Hockey districts and USA Hockey Nationals. And I went to Futures Camp I believe I was in Ohio, Kent State, Ohio. And then from there, they wanted me to go, this was my junior year of college. They wanted me to go to the ODP Prospects Camp. And honestly, I wasn't really sure. Like, I went, had a good time. I did well, but I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do this because I had another year of school and I can't really work part-time where I'm at. So I just kind of like filed that. And then I worked, whatever I worked senior year of college. And then actually
where were you living for school? Sorry.
In Richmond. Yeah.
Richmond,
so
okay.
I pretty much was here my whole life. And then actually our Southeastern referee in chief, Jim Dewhurst, great guy, called me. Dewey called me and he's like, hey, like, basically, long story short, he's like, if you don't, he's like, I can get you into Prospects Camp this summer. But if you don't do it, there's nothing more I can do for you. Like, I'm trying to get you there, but there's nothing more I can do for you. And that kind of really hit home and resonated. And I was like, okay, like, I at least owe it to him to go do it. Because he's done so much for me and just, great guy. So I went to ODP Prospects Camp. Like, I think I decided honestly like a month before. Like, it was super like last minute. Like, I wasn't really prepared. And I went and obviously did really well. And I got the invite from Chris Allman to moved to Minneapolis, and that was 2017, summer 2017, to move to Minneapolis in the fall and work the NA in Minneapolis. And, I took a week or so to think on it. And then that's when I started. So.
Gotcha. So you left school then?
No, I finished. I graduated
in
May, and then I think Prospects Camp was in like July. So.
Okay, perfect. I wasn't
back to back.
You,
sorry. Did finish. Yep.
Okay.
And I wanted to finish first. I definitely want to finish school first. So
that's definitely the smart move, and that's something that any young official, I would definitely say, like, if you're wanting to pursue this, definitely, make sure you get school done and do all that first, and then or while you're doing it, but definitely taking care of school is super important.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you end up like me at 33 years old working on your bachelor's degree still. But
nothing wrong with that either.
No, not at all. But I would definitely, my best advice to anyone as far as school goes, definitely go to school and get that done.
Yep.
So tell us about that first year in the NA.
Oh man, that was an adjustment. I think the highest level hockey I had worked up until then was like, USPHL, like South Division, like, which is still some of the toughest hockey that I've ever had to officiate at any level, by the way.
Oh yeah, those games can get pretty crazy.
The score sheets were filled every single night, especially in Richmond when Richmond was involved, and so those were tough, and it was a good experience. But I kind of, from what I had gathered from other guys, I kind of expected to get thrown into like the NA3 first, or maybe because they wanted me as a referee, and I wanted to be a referee. So I had heard that with some guys, they'll even have them, throw them on the lines or something for an NA game, just try to get the speed down. And my first game in the ODP period was an NA game. And I mean, it was an exhibition game, of course, and it was in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Chris Allman was there, and I was like a complete fish out of water. Like, I was gassed. I was like, the standard that they wanted called, like, it was like first call of the game was just like a weak call, like nervous, like interference, and he's like, you're never going to call an interference penalty as the first call of the game ever again. And I was like, okay, yeah, like that's fair. And like, was the penalty? Maybe, but why, so it was definitely an adjustment, but I was ready for the challenge. And then I obviously slowly adapted and ended up being a really good year. But that was definitely an adjustment period for sure.
Yeah. The transition from doing, whether it be youth or a little bit of ACHA or whatever, and then going into that program style of doing things, is definitely a big difference, because obviously you're dealing with junior hockey. It's a different mentality. So when you transition, I remember my first year doing the AJ and the Met, same kind of thing. It was like, oh, okay, like you're completely changing your style, and then from there, obviously adapting and doing things to their standard. So how far, like, what did you do that first year? Like, did you get playoffs? Did you?
Yeah, so I worked regular season and then got selected for playoffs, and then just kind of, you know, it was a pretty good year. Obviously, you had those games where you weren't necessarily thrilled, but I kind of caught fire, if you will, and just had a really good string of games, some tough calls that, you know, a lot of it's luck in the playoffs. Like, it is what it is.
For
like
sure.
you can control what you can control, but if something happens out of your control, that could be the end of it. And there were so many great officials on staff that year, and things kind of went my way, and a couple good bounces went my way, and I ended up working the NA championship game that year. So it was an amazing first year.
Well,
but
so
it was,
you made it all the way to the championship game as a first year ODP official.
I did. Yeah.
That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah,
Not
appreciate it. Yeah, it
many guys
was,
did that.
like I said, probably more lucky but it was a good year. So
That's awesome. As far as the NA goes, what was your favorite building to work in?
Whew. I would probably say Shreveport down in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I worked all of the South buildings down there except for Corpus, and I really wanted to go to Corpus, but I did do that last year
Okay.
with Brenden.
Oh yeah, we had the kids game.
That's right, a kids game. But I would probably say Shreveport. I mean, there's a lot, and I would say Fairbanks. Fairbanks, Alaska was pretty unbelievable.
That's one trip I always wanted to make, and unfortunately I never got to do it.
It is the most hostile environment that I have ever been in. Like, it is like literally people with like beards down to their gut, or like scaling the glass, like literally like they feel like you're right above your head. Like, it's awesome. Like, it is awesome because everybody in Fairbanks goes to the games, and
what else is there to do other than go see the NAL team?
Nothing. So I would say Fairbanks and Shreveport are probably my favorite. Awesome. Shreveport has an interesting smell to it, as Brenden knows. So.
I can only imagine being in Louisiana.
That 1952 building.
The Cajun Dome was always interesting to work in down in Lafayette. So.
Yeah.
So after that year in the NAL, did you get moved up right into the USHL? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I got I was full time with USHL, and I moved to Des Moines, Iowa the next year.
Good old Des Moines. There you go.
Good old Des Moines. Great town. Missed that town definitely. And then and that was definitely an adjustment too. The standard is I actually worked my first year. I worked 3 USHL games. That was it.
Okay.
And the first 2 were emergency fill-ins. The morning of, I got a call, and I didn't have any of the USHL gear or anything, and I was not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my feet wet that way, but it was just kind of like I was so like last minute shocked that I wasn't nervous, and I just kind of went out there and I was like, I have nothing to lose, and it went well. But and then
and obviously there's a jump between the
and I work, and usually they'll start you out 4-man in the USHL, like they'll put you with an experienced guy, and all 3 of my games were 3-man that year because it just like emergency fill-ins because something happened. So that was kind of interesting. But then, so the next year, obviously, it was kind of like, okay, now I'm really getting started. And definitely had to adjust to that standard. I mean, every league's kind of different, but the pace was it was just like a much more,
well, those guys are more north-south. Like
exactly.
Go to the
just
net,
up and down fast. Yeah. And it's just obviously more skilled. It's a step faster, and same thing. It was just an adjustment. And, but yeah, definitely an adjustment.
Let's see. Now, I didn't work too much USHL. I know I worked in like Dubuque and a couple other places. Favorite USHL building to work in?
Oh man, favorite USHL building to work in.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna take one from as far as like Sioux Falls, South Dakota is unbelievable because it's basically like an American League arena. Like it seats like 12 or 13,000. So but that's only fun if it's packed to me. Because if there's 2,000 people there, it feels like there's nobody there.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, it's great. Like the locker room's like a professional locker. Like it's awesome. But as far as like energy, and I'd probably say in Des Moines, good old Buccaneer Arena. The play and the ice box in Lincoln. Those two are very similar.
Okay, yeah, Lincoln's always a favorite.
And nothing's changed. You go in there, Thunderstruck. You go in there and you just feel like I feel like just being in Lincoln in those two arenas, I'm immune to COVID because it's so damp and moldy, and it's awesome though. The place is rocking. Like I love this. So those are probably my top three for sure.
Any good situations stick out, like things that happened while you were working in the Null or the Ushl, like crazy situations with junior hockey?
Yeah, I
Had a
would say
good one.
Well, go ahead.
You had a good one in the U.S. the 1 year with the Flames prospect. Wasn't? Oh no, that was Candy, wasn't it? I thought.
Yeah, that was not me.
Oh,
I
thought that was you.
Yeah. No, I wish. That was that would have been that would have been interesting. Without naming names, that would have been interesting. No, I think in the NA, actually in the playoffs that year, obviously the Midwest snowstorms are brutal. I was in Austin, Minnesota on a Friday night, and then I was supposed to be in Aberdeen, South Dakota on Saturday night. And that is about, without any conditions, about an 8-hour drive.
Okay.
So overnight I was going to stay 4 hours. I was actually staying in Sioux Falls. So I'm like getting into Sioux Falls and the weather's fine until Sioux Falls. And I get into Sioux Falls and it's like an ice storm. Like wind is like 50 miles an hour because it's very flat, like ice storm. And I'm like, oh man, like, okay. So I get to the hotel and I wake up and like it's a blizzard. And I'm like, okay, like what's going to happen here? So the referee that did the game the night before, you know, especially in the playoffs in 3-man, they don't want to have the same referee in the playoffs back-to-back nights. Like it's just a bad situation. Not bad situation, but it's setting somebody up for.
It's not ideal.
You know, it's not ideal, but in this situation. So the referee from the night before stayed, and he did a great job. Like he killed the game. I watched the game, but it was like a controversial game for one of like the home team. So it was just like a hostile, which is fine. He did everything he could. And he did a great job. But obviously it was just, you know, naturally like you want to see a different face. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I was planning on leaving at like 12. It takes like, I think it takes 3 or 3.5 hours without any, and the game's at 7:30. Yeah. So I'm like, if I leave at 12, I'm still allowing like almost 6 hours for anything to happen for a 3.5 hour drive. Well, it took me 6.5 hours to get there.
Oh.
The main Interstate 29 was closed. So I took all back roads, 1-lane back roads through God knows where, South Dakota. And I got stuck 3 times along the way. And all 3 times, Good Samaritans that lived in the small town towed me out. And because it was like the snow drifts were so bad, it was up to the side of my car.
Holy cow.
And so 3 Samaritans towed me out, get back on the road. Another time, just sheer luck. Like one of them was the same guy. He was just like making rounds. And then the other, I was like, I'm sorry, man. Like, so anyway, long story short, I make it at, I think warm-ups are at 7 for a 7:30 game. I made it into the rink at 6:50.
Oh, wow.
And I was wearing sweatpants because usually I was going to go check into the hotel, get changed. So I'm wearing like sweatpants and I'm just like all like, I don't even know how I made it, right? Like I'm sliding all over the road. Like I'm just trying to stay focused. I'm trying to update Allman what's going on. Finally make it. And it was just a really tough game and it went well, but that was probably my most interesting. It took almost 7 hours to get there. It was wild.
I have a very similar story of what happened to me one time when I was working in the SP. We had a very bad ice storm in Mississippi, Louisiana. It'd been the first time that stuff happened in years. And I worked the River Kings on a Friday night, which that game in itself was interesting because I almost ended up having to referee that game because that storm, the same storm that I encountered the following day, messed up the referee that night, Andrew Howard. He was driving down from St. Louis, and he walked in the door like 5 minutes before the game. So anyway, I ended up not refereeing, which I was a little disappointed.
I'm sure.
I kept trying to get Leaky to let me ref, and he'd just always just laugh at me. Like, nope, you're a linesman. Okay. So then the next day, we have this ice storm further south, and I decided to leave the hotel room in Memphis at 6 o'clock in the morning because it's a 6-hour drive down to Lafayette. And it's like, well, if I get there at noon, they'll let me check in early, get a good nap, the whole bit. Well, by the time I got from Memphis to Jackson, there was snow on the ground in Jackson, Mississippi, which that's not right.
No.
And then by the time I got down to Baton Rouge, or try to get to Baton Rouge, everything was iced over. The bridge from Baton Rouge to Lafayette was closed. It ended up taking me 12 hours
Oh my God.
to get from Memphis to Lafayette, and I got there right before the game. Actually, the game they were just dropping the puck. And the most messed up part about it was Andy Howard was supposed to be with me on that drive. Well, his wife went into labor, so he left to go home. I drove down, so then we had to get someone to ref, and then it just got all messed up. And
Wow.
yeah, it was very similar to that trip for you. So the planes, trains, and automobiles and everything in between with the ODP life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So then working in the ODP, you then got to do some pretty cool stuff, and didn't you end up on the cover of USA Hockey Magazine?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I accidentally ended up on the cover. Yes, must have been a slow month.
Yeah, for sure. For 3 referees to end up on the cover.
Yes.
So is that because you did the Prospects game, right?
No, I didn't actually. I did not do the Prospects game that year.
Okay. Or
None
was
of us
it
did
just a
actually on the
random,
cover.
or was it just a story about you guys in the USHL? I can't.
Yeah, I think it was just a story about us in the USHL.
Gotcha.
Scott Zelkin reached out to us and was like, "Hey, this guy wants to do an article," and
That's
basically, yeah, the rest is history. The photographer actually lived in Des Moines, so he was like following us around our house. Like, he's like, "Hey, can I come and just shoot pictures of what you guys normally do? Like, just act natural." And I'm like, "Okay." Super nice guy. So he comes and I'm packing up my bag for a game. Like, I think I had Friday night in Des Moines, Saturday night in Omaha. So I could leave 2 hours before the game or 3 hours before the game. So I'm packing up my stuff and he's like, and I'm packing my skates. I'm packing my gitch and stuff. He's like, and I'm just this is so weird. So I walk outside. I'm like wheeling my bag down the sidewalk, and I'm just like, okay, see you, man.
Bye.
Bye. All right. And then he came to our games and stuff, and it's just we're walking on the ice, or we're about to step on the ice, and he's just on the ice somehow. I'm like, how did you get on the ice? Okay, But it was an interesting experience, but it was really cool. And I think good for USA Hockey, officiating in general, because obviously, most people probably laughed that aren't officials, but I still think it was good to,
Well, yeah, it's one of those things not many people understand what we go through, especially living the ODP life.
Yeah.
Now, so how long total were you doing the ODP before you got the call saying, "Hey, from Joe or Steve-O, whoever it was, for moving up to the coast"?
Yeah, so I had my year in the NA, and then I had my year in the USHL, and then this past season before COVID hit, I was living in a USHL apartment, but I was doing a split schedule between USHL and Coast and a few SP.
Okay. So
and then this year,
obviously, what was it like going from junior to working pro hockey?
Oh man, it was awesome. It was.
Was your first pro game in the SP or the Coast?
The SP. My first pro games were in the SP 2 years ago.
Okay.
I guess 2018, 2019 season. Over actually down in Roanoke, in Fayetteville over Christmas. So it was kind of no one wanted to be there. So it was a nice ease in experience.
Yeah. So you're in Fayetteville then, you said?
My first games, yeah.
Yeah. Love that building. Place is fun.
There was 5 people there,
was
but it was
the
fun.
crazy Zamboni driver still there?
Oh yeah, he's still there.
Bill, man, he was telling us 5 years ago he was going to retire.
No, he's still there.
Awesome.
But it was definitely, I mean, as you can attest to, I mean, the respect is so much more.
Mm-hmm.
The respect level is just so. I mean, they're men, they're professionals.
Yeah.
They're getting paid. So it's different. But like I said, the respect level, players were coming up to me "Hey man, heard your first game, just have fun," stuff like that, stuff.
Yeah.
In junior hockey, you're "Oh, it's your first game, yeah, you suck," great. Like, thanks.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between the children.
And exactly. And there's just like I said, so much more respect. I will say the USHL, like speed wise, it wasn't really an adjustment. I think the USHL North South is definitely faster, but that's just because they're 17, 18 and don't get tired. And they just, but the ECHL or the SP is more systems and more east-west, and like the passing's much cleaner, and it's just more systems. Like they finish their checks more, like it's just more systems, as you know. But
yeah, for sure.
Definitely, I think it wasn't too bad of an adjustment. Just the rules and little nuances and stuff were the biggest adjustment. But I mean, with experience, it just obviously it gets smoother.
And, so this coming season, which we just found out isn't starting till December, at least for the coast. Like, what do they have you doing? Are you going to be coast full time? Are you going to be splitting still?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be living in Richmond.
Okay.
I told Steven I wanted to live in Richmond. So I'll be working out of here, hopefully as much coast as possible, but I'm close to a lot of SB teams too, so I'm sure I'll be split duty, which is fine. But yeah, he said, I mean, when Richmond's pretty century low. I mean, there's a decent airport.
Well,
like
you're in
2 hours
for pro hockey.
Yeah. Norfolk's only 2 hours away, so just to have a team that I can drive to is already a bonus. And I mean, that's the plan. I mean, it should be interesting in general, like what they're gonna do with apartments and stuff. Who knows? So
because we're living in a different world now, so it's gonna be very touch and go for a little while.
Yeah, it came at a good time though, because at least kind of now I know, like, okay, I can live here, like I can, just there's not a lot. I mean, there's uncertainty, but there's not a lot of uncertainty with where I'm living, at least. So.
And then, so I think you told us off air, so to speak. So you haven't skated, but what, twice since everything went down?
Twice since my last game on March 8th. Yeah.
Wow. Even for me, we had 2.5 months off here, and it's definitely nice to take that break. I know one of the guys that refs here locally just does men's league and stuff. He says to me, he goes, "This is so weird." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "The longest break I've taken in 15 years of reffing has been 2 weeks." He goes, how do you get back in the flow of it? I'm like, "It's like riding a bike, Dave." Like, and it's just funny, like how we take long breaks and other guys don't, or whatever. So, like, is this the longest break you've had?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I usually skate, and I think going forward it's going to be nice because, like, in the last few years I got back in late May after the season, and then like I was like, okay, I'll take some time off. Like I got home like May 20th or 21st, and then June 1st I'm skating again. Like, oh great, like that's not time off, but okay.
Your local scheduler, your local association, like, hey, you're back, come skate.
Or 2 years I was scheduling, so I just self-inflicted myself. But
gotcha.
And so this year it's been obviously different, but I've actually enjoyed the time off. Like I had a couple like injuries that throughout the season, like my groin, like I fell one game and like twisted weird, and like just stuff like that. Like I had plantar fasciitis this year with my feet. So like it's been great to, like, now I feel like 100%. So that's been good.
Awesome.
And like you said, it's like riding a bike. I went out there with like the lowest expectations ever, and I'm like, this is going to be terrible. Like, and I got out there, like the first drive was kind of like, whoa. And then I was like, okay, like it's fine. The only thing is, with your lungs and stuff, like that's the only thing that goes as far as like breathing and stuff is just a little different, because you can do cardio all you want, but you're not in the cold, and it's just different.
Exactly.
But yeah, I skated back-to-back days early in the morning. My buddy, actually Billy Lyon's dad is still the manager of the rink here.
Okay.
So he got me in, and I'm living at home right now, and it's just trying to keep my parents safe and stuff until I move out. So I'm just trying to be careful, but
makes sense.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, I think I'll start getting back into it now that things are kind of, but yeah, it was good. Definitely different.
I was just throwing on my inline hockey skates and skating around my neighborhood just to kind of do that. And it was funny, my first time on the ice, after having only skated on my inline skates, which is obviously a different stride and the whole bit, I get out there, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is so weird. And then
Training wheels.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So locally, do you get to go and like do evals or help out with some of the up and coming guys? Like, do you have anyone that kind of is like, wow, look what he did, I can do that too, like kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I actually would love to go to instructor camp, but obviously it's right in the middle of playoffs and hockey season. I think it's in April usually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of out for a while. But I've been trying to get back. I mean, there's, every year we have a few young guys that come up in Richmond. I mean, it's not a huge number, obviously. But I was scheduling for a while, and I would schedule myself with them. I'm not scheduling anymore. But yeah, I definitely want to try to get out there and continue to get back, because that's what it's all about. Like, I owe a huge credit to even the few guys in Richmond that really got me going. And it's it all comes full circle. I actually did there was a junior at Chilled Ponds last summer. There was for up and coming guys who want to start doing the USPHL stuff, and they did a little training camp, and I went there and did a presentation on communication, made a PowerPoint, and just was evaling games there and trying to give some experience. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was awesome. It was an awesome time.
Is Stacy still around?
She moved. I can't remember. She moved a few years ago.
Out of the area. I wasn't sure. Okay.
But yeah, I was lucky to skate with her many times, and it was awesome.
Just the wealth of knowledge out of her, eh?
Oh yeah, exactly. She's
amazing official.
Yep, she's an amazing official, and lucky to have her as one of my.
Training. And then isn't Sneer up there?
Sneer's in Northern Virginia, Chris.
Yeah.
Yep.
Prime time.
Prime time. Yeah, he's kind of getting out of it, I think, slowly. Okay. But he still can get back, and he was huge, helping me out as well. Another great guy.
Sure. He's good people.
Great guy. So Sneer's up in about 2 hours away.
Sweet. Let's see, what else can we talk about?
What would for communication, what would be like your biggest piece of advice for younger officials?
That's a good one.
Because you're a great communicator.
Sometimes, yes. I don't know. I think be honest and be yourself. But I think just there's so many little things that add up to the big thing. But I'd say the biggest thing is just be honest and be approachable. Definitely be approachable, I would say. I think as an up and coming official, I was not really approachable, and it was once I got over that, and I think the more relationships you can build with coaches, and I always as I move up, I wanted to be that referee where I could walk in the building and see both coaches, and they're happy to see me, hey, great to see you, we're glad you're here, that's awesome. If both coaches can say that, that's
a compliment and a great feeling.
It is
when they're happy to see you, whether it's at junior level or working, the minor leagues. I know in my time in the SP, being a linesman, obviously you get to build a little more of a rapport with the benches. So it's just always a good feeling that when the coaches and the players are like, oh, hey, we're happy to see you.
Yep. Nothing better.
Nothing better. Truth. And obviously the communication difference between going to junior and then dealing with the pro guys.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
You can get away with a little bit more. You can have those heated arguments with the pro guys, and it's definitely a little more fun.
Yeah, but no, I think, like I said, just being honest. Coach asks you a question, answer it, and if you make a mistake, just say, hey, you know what, I missed it. You don't want to say that 30 times a game, but if you miss it, you miss it. What's he going to say?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how far admitting a mistake goes with somebody over not admitting it and just trying to lie or manipulate your way through the situation. Especially the higher up you go, and these coaches have been around 20, 30 years, and
they see right through it.
Yeah, and you're not the first referee they've seen do what they're complaining to you about. So
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, being approachable is a huge thing. So
what any other kind of advice or anything you'd like to say to up and coming guys or just guys that are out there listening and working? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think this year, especially with COVID and stuff, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and actually we had an official in the ODP, Ben Allison. You guys probably heard of the Ben Allison Award.
Yep.
And, unfortunately he was killed, in a car wreck or similar, but he, I never met him, but, we had wristbands that said skate every game like it's your last, because you never know when, your last game might be. And, I always thought that was great. And, but I never, I guess, I always try to give 100%, but I never really officially had the experience of not knowing, and then COVID hits and you're like, man, like I had no idea that 2 days ago was going to be my last game. Like I had no idea because it just happened so fast. So I think that's good. I mean, always give, you never know who's watching for one, but
ain't that the truth?
I think just literally skate every game like it's your last. And, I think I'll have a new appreciation for that. I'm sure we all will going forward for that, just to be thankful we're out there and, always give it 100%. So that's what I would say. And then just, be coachable and, be approachable and just be honest and be honest with yourself too. I mean, that's a big thing. So that's all I got for up and coming guys.
And then maybe share like a funny story or just something out of like something that you've encountered or had happen to you while you've been officiating. We'll close out with a quick story from you.
Man,
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I know you might have to edit this out while I think about this. Gosh, I don't
College
know.
Station.
I was thinking about that, but you'd be better telling that story. You'd be better telling that story.
No, that's all you.
No, I don't think I mean, okay, actually, I know now. Now I know. So This past season, I was doing an SP game in Fayetteville, and it was a 3-3 between I think Fayetteville and Evansville.
All right.
And the first two games were very well competed games by both teams, and like they were tough games. So we get to the third day, and I'm like, okay, like how 3-3s usually go. It's either one of two ways.
Yes, I do, especially in the SPHL.
Yeah, they're either out to kill each other or they just don't. They just want to get through it alive and go home.
Yeah, they either want to kill each other or they're out for a Sunday skate.
Yeah, and it was more the Sunday skate, which was good. So we get done with the first period, and it's a 1-1 game. Actually, they tied with 5 seconds left. Tied the game with 5 seconds left to go in the first. So then we're getting ready to go out for the second, and we get a knock on the door, and they're like, "Hey, the Zamboni is currently broken." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, just let us know."
Sounds about right for Fayetteville.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, like, just let us know." Like, so they come back and they're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna be able to fix it." I was like, "You don't have like a youth rink or anything?" They're like, "No, they're closed." And I was like, "Okay." So very long story short, we ended up doing a shootout after one period of play. So we did the game. It was 1-1. Both coaches, the league. It was a 3-3 late in the season, and Evansville and Fayetteville are not really close to each other, and that was the only time they were playing all year, so they couldn't reschedule it.
Yeah.
So they agreed to do a shootout after one period, and we did it all in one end because one of the ends of the ice was kind of chewed up because the Zam tried.
Yeah.
So we did a shootout from one end, and I don't even remember who won. Maybe Fayetteville won. And then we left, and I was showered and back in my suit and on 95 in an hour and 40 minutes from when the game started. And I was
that's absolutely amazing.
On my way home. So
that
luckily,
definitely sounds like another thing that needs to be added to the tales of the Southern Professional Hockey League.
So I had the shortest pro hockey game in history, I think. So not a big deal.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so that's definitely it.
It sounds like that mini game that's listed in the NCAA rule book where you play a period.
Yeah, exactly. We were all
absolutely unreal.
Yeah, that was a time. That was a time.
Man, that's awesome. So, well, I guess with that, we're gonna wrap it up. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Definitely will when we get back to normal and get up and running again, maybe down the road, we'll definitely have to have you on again to share a few more stories and go from there on that stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys, so much. It was I was looking forward to this, talking about hockey and catching up, and makes me excited for the season,
Well,
whenever that might start. So
we do need to mention what did happen last night with all the eliminations. We might as well, since we're
yeah, sure.
in the heat of the moment in the playoffs as far as that goes. How about the craziness of yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I was working last night, so I didn't really see a whole lot of it, but I watched the highlights, and obviously you hear, I mean, it seems like March Madness in August. Like, it's crazy. Like, you see the matchups, and you're like 12 versus 5, and you're like, man, I love picking 12s on the bracket. Or 11. Is 11 versus 5? Or is it, I think it's 12 versus – it's 12
versus 5.
12 versus 5. And, and I know, Montreal's always dangerous this time of year with Carey Price. Like, you never know. And then Chicago, obviously, I mean, you never know. And just the experience is crazy. I mean, it just goes to show,
And then Columbus had Toronto on the brink with 3 minutes left. And then they blew the 3-0 lead and then lost in overtime, so the Leafs kept it alive.
They were up 3-0 with 3 minutes to go.
Yep.
Something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
And they almost buried an empty netter, but it like lodged itself between the outside of the net and that clear stuff they have on it.
Wow.
And then Toronto went down and scored 2 quick goals.
Yep.
Man, that's going to be a tough game to bounce back from in Game 5. That's one of those where if they can somehow win Game 5, they could win it all. But if they don't,
I can't wait to go back and watch what Tortorella said last night after that game.
No,
it was a quick interview.
Oh,
quick.
I'm sure it was.
Quick.
Did he say we sucked and left?
I haven't seen the video, but I would be surprised if it's longer than a minute.
We suck tonight.
Yeah.
Suck from top to bottom. Suck tonight.
So great. Oh man. Okay.
It's amazing though, man. Like I was gonna say, when your back's up against the wall, man, that's the most dangerous time. You have nothing to lose.
Yep. Exactly.
So kudos to them. Kudos to them. We'll see. Game 5 should be awesome.
What was the quote? It's the last game of the season. Why not hold anything back? What's that from?
Exactly.
Waterboy.
Probably.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler movie.
I think that's what that's from. Anyway, but we'll wrap it up there. Again, Logan, thank you so much. Brenden, always a pleasure to see you, bud.
You too. Logan, thanks for coming on. It was a blast.
Yeah, man. Great catching up, and you guys stay safe, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Logan. I know I had a great time talking to him, and I think Brenden did as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got the pleasure to skate with Logan once when he came down to the South. We went on a nice little 4-day trip together down to Corpus Christi and into College Station. He's a great guy. He was one of my favorite refs to work with. And I think just overall he's a great guy.
Indeed, he certainly is. Looking forward to having him back on the podcast in the future when we get back to hockey. Well, we previously talked about the Western Conference before our interview, so I guess now it's time to do a quick rundown of the East. We first have Philly versus Montreal. What do you got?
Flyers in 5, no doubt. I think.
Yeah, yep.
The Flyers are just playing so well. I mean, the whole round robin, they played so well. They're a fun team to watch. They got Carter Hart in net. I mean, look, it would be sick if Montreal played, like they did against the Penguins. But
the one thing in this series is if Carey Price feels like winning the playoff series, he will do it.
I was just saying that's the one difference maker where if Carey Price can steal a game or two, I think we're looking at Montreal to win.
When he turns it on and wants to be, he can be the best goalie in the NHL.
Oh, 100%, no doubt. But I think Philly just has too much.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. They're going up against Philly, who's super hot right now. So yeah. We'll see. But yeah, I think Philly is the easy pick there. All right, so this series, Tampa and Columbus.
Your rematch from last year?
Redo from last year, and I'm calling it now. I'm making a bold prediction. The Bolts are going to show up, and they're going to sweep the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are going to return the favor from last year. They aren't going to mess around. They're not going to have, they're just going to have foot down on the accelerator, and they're just going to blow right by Columbus.
So you think a John Tortorella coach team is going to get swept?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the Lightning have a lot to prove, and I feel like they may have intentionally lost that game to Philly the other night just so they could have the chance to play the Blue Jackets, so they could return the favor from last year.
I mean, Tampa Bay is obviously the clear favorite, but I love the Blue Jackets. I love John Tortorella. I love the way they play. I got Blue Jackets in 7.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like John Tortorella too. He was a great coach. He won us a cup in 2004, but I just feel like we have way too much to prove this year.
I don't disagree with that.
On to the next, we got Washington and the Islanders. For me, this one's a toss-up.
I have the Islanders all the way.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Islanders are going to knock off the Caps.
100%. Barry Trotz is going to lead that team.
And then with that, we have Boston and Carolina. I want to see Carolina knock off the Bruins just so my roommate is salty about it.
I don't see how Carolina loses that series, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the bunch of jerks are going to knock off the Bruins.
When you have a coach that's 50 years old and can still play the game, and I mean, and that to me that's a huge difference maker, though. Like the fact that I think you're seeing now with coaches that on really good teams, all of the coaches are guys that players want to run through a brick wall for, and they buy into the system well.
And that's the thing. Like when you look at Carolina, you have that with Brenden Moore. You have that with the Lightning and Coop.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the
St.
other
Louis has it. Blue Jackets have it. I mean, everybody's bought into the system.
That is 100% true. So I think it's definitely going to be a fun and exciting first round. I know the Lightning play at 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow, which I am pumped for.
3
o'clock? Yeah. Perfect.
Because Calgary's at 4:30.
Nice. It's just going to be another wild round. Looking forward to seeing, all the officiating assignments, and hopefully maybe the play cleans up a little bit from what we had.
Qualification round?
Yeah, in the qualification round. From there, I think that's about it.
I do have one question for you.
Go for it.
More so an opinion.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a home and an away team these games. There's no home ice advantage. You got last change, and that's your home ice advantage.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to do anything in a 7-game series?
Over the course of 7 games, I feel like that last change might have an effect on 1 or 2 plays, like immediately off a face-off, or if you get that lineup. So I think this is going to be where it really becomes obvious that that last change does mean something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because obviously there's no home ice advantage per se. To me, the round robin was you're fighting for last change. I mean, that's what it was. Yeah. And I agree with you that I think it will change a play or two throughout a game, which, I mean, as we all know, that can change a series.
Potentially sway where, the face-off percentages, because that's, and then obviously your matchups. It won't be as obvious, I mean, with not having fans or whatnot. Now, the home team does get their game presentation, so like their music and their anthem singer and all that kind of stuff. And I know, every once in a while there would be a weird stat during the playoffs where a team goes undefeated when a certain person sings the anthem. Like I know in 2004 when we beat Calgary, the Lightning were undefeated when Brooke Hogan sang the national anthem.
Did you know the Lightning were also undefeated in the 4th round whenever the NHL disallowed goals that went in?
Well, that's a debate for another day. There's a great YouTube video about parallax angle and how the puck did not cross the goal line per ABC. I think, or ESPN, whoever was
Oh,
covering.
I think it was ABC at the time still.
Yes. Yep. So they
Yikes.
showed it. They animated it. It clearly did not go in the net. And this is going to be a debate that we have for forever, pretty much. But
You
I'm
know,
sorry
I just
about
think
your luck, bud. But the Lightning won the cup in 2004.
I think both teams just need to go to the cup this year, and we can settle it then.
Okay, so I can handle that.
Okay. All right. Well,
and
with
then
that,
one more thing. Oh,
Yep.
no. One more
Go
thing
ahead.
we have to mention. Make sure you check out the Team Stripes Academy. It is the master course from Mr. Don Koharski himself, legendary NHL referee. That is on our Team Stripes store. And I think now we can wrap it up.
yeah.
Brenden,
Well,
any last words?
now I want to plug all of our social medias since we just remembered. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of them go Team Stripes. We do have a YouTube page where you can watch us. Same podcast. It's just you get to look at our shining faces.
Yep.
Um,
And we also have a Twitch channel that
Yes.
we will probably try to do another game watch along live stream maybe this week.
For sure. With
If
the
we can make
YouTube
that.
page, we're trying to figure out more stuff to post. Please go subscribe to that. There'll always be fun new content on there. If you want to reach out to us, please reach out to us. Our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, however you want to. I think we have an email as well. But reach out to us, give us your feedback. If you guys want to hear certain things, if you have certain situations, please feel free to reach out. We will get back to you. I'm pretty quick on the Instagram and Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
We need content to talk about on the podcast. So if our
Exactly.
listeners want to chime in and give us a question or a situation or anything like that, we definitely love to talk about it. Or even send us video clips that we can show on our
Facebook,
YouTube,
everything.
while we're doing the podcast, we can watch the clip and kind of dissect it and give our opinion. It might not necessarily be the right opinion, though. I'll give you that one.
All right, and with that, I think we can wrap up episode. I believe this is 63 of the Team Stripes podcast. See you guys next Tuesday. Have a great week. Thank you guys for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening and keep watching hockey.